Welcome to all the bold, courageous, and powerful women tuning into Find Your Fabulous. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and it's time to ignite your full power. Are you ready to embrace your talents and worth and unleash the wise goddess within? I've got the information, inspiration, and revelation you need to ignite your personal power so you can stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. Connect with other powerful spiritual women who yearn to be fully expressed. The world needs you. Full power. Let me guide you to find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess. It all starts now on the Find Your Fabulous show. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diane Garrison, and you are listening to Find Your Fabulous on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience the pathway to finding your fabulous. Join us every first and third Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Central Time, and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and we will have information, inspiration, and revelation to help you ignite your personal power and reclaim the passion and purpose we all hold within us. I have here today my very special guest, Samantha Bennett, and our producer, Sierra. Good morning, Sierra.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. In this mind-blowing episode, I will be exploring with my special guest, Samantha Bennett, the real secrets to creativity and productivity. Sam and I will be unpacking her latest book, The 15-Minute Method, the surprisingly simple art of getting it done, which will officially be launching tomorrow, June 18th. We will have the Amazon purchase page on the podcast description so you can get your hands on it. Now, this book isn't just about productivity. It asks us to consider this important truth. We don't achieve more simply by doing more. We achieve more by doing things that matter. Are you curious? I know I am. But first, let me introduce you to Sam. Samantha Bennett is the author of Get It Done, Start Right Where You Are, and most recently, The 15-Minute Method, the surprisingly simple art of getting it done. She is a writer, a speaker, an actor, and creativity and productivity specialist. And she is the founder of therealsambennett.com, a company committed to helping overwhelmed creatives and frustrated overachievers get unstuck. Sam is also a popular course instructor on LinkedIn Learning with over 1 million class participants worldwide. She lives in Connecticut, and you will find her online at www.therealsambennett.com. Most importantly to me, Sam is a beloved mentor. I've had the privilege to have group coaching with Sam and her wonderful partner, Amy Ehlers, over the past 2 years. And I've had the great honor to have gone on 2 international women's retreats and will be heading to Mallorca with her and Amy at the end of September. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but isn't there a few more spots left on this fabulous retreat?
There are, and you should go check out barefootperfect.com, if nothing else, just to look at the gorgeous pictures.
There.
And just a dream. It's just beautiful, just a dream. And yeah, and go ahead and apply to join us. We would love to have, we're still got a few seats available, so I'm saving a chaise lounge for you in Mallorca.
So it is no surprise to me that this new book is fantastic. You take, Sam, complex topics and make them very accessible. You are a wordsmith with great phrases like grumpy magic, which made me giggle, and micro blessings. And the way you shared your health challenges very vulnerably in this book made me just love and honor you even more.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Diane. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Welcome to my show. Sam, before we dive into your juicy book, I
Yeah.
want to ask you what I ask all my guests. What does full power mean to you, and how did you discover your personal power?
Well, I had a big advantage because I was a theater kid, right? I started out as an actor. I was one of those kids who put on shows in the living room in the backyard and did all the plays in school and went to theater camp. And so just let me just say to all the parents out there, if your kids are threatening to pursue a career in the arts, don't fret. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. And one of the reasons it's going to be fine is that what you learn studying theater, studying any of the performing arts, certainly, you learn so much about breathing and body language and voice and energy and communication skills and language and how to use it and nonverbal communication uh, and energetic communion. You know, everyone thinks that what's addictive about performing is the applause. It's not the applause. It's being in a moment with another person and with an audience. So growing up as an actor, I learned so much about how to use my voice and my body. And because I'm quite tall, I'm 5'11", and I was a tall kid too. I often was playing characters of great authority, a lot of authority. And everybody loves to say I'm in uniform. I was often playing cops, and you can see in my, IMDb, I've played a lot of a lot of people in uniform, a lot of prison guards, police officers, EMTs, like that. And but I didn't always match my insides. Like I didn't always feel like a powerful person on the inside. So I think so when I think about full power, that's what I think about. I think about having full access to the fullness of who you are
Yes.
and being able to sort of control the flow like a hose or a shower head. Do you want to be at full blast, or do you want to just be a gentle trickle, a gentle flow? So
Right.
yeah, knowing the full range of you and being able to be in some kind of control of it.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Okay, let's start digging into the book. What inspired you to write the 15-minute method?
Well, I've been harping on this 15-minute thing for a long time. In my first book, Get It Done, the subtitle is From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day. And
Mm,
it's always been one of the things I taught because I work with a lot of highly creative people, a lot of neurospicy people, a lot of people who have a lot of ideas all the time. And it's a wonderful thing to have a lot of ideas all the time. It is not a character defect, whatever other people may tell you, because I know it can make sometimes people think we're flaky or we can't decide or we're dilettantes or whatever. No, you just have a lot of ideas all the time. That's okay. But it can be sort of immediately overwhelming. When you always have a lot of things you want to do, or you have one idea, it's like you have a thought of like, oh, I want to redo the whole house. And immediately, you can see it. You can see how beautiful it would be. You can see the whole thing in your mind. And then immediately you're overwhelmed because how would a person even begin to do something like that?
right.
So it just became something I said over and over again and saw results for people over and over again. It's like, well, just take 15 minutes a day. Just spend 15 minutes on it. You're not going to get it perfect in 15 minutes, but it's amazing how much you can get done in 15 minutes.
Mm,
It's amazing how much you can learn in 15 minutes. It's amazing how much you can calm down in 15 minutes. It's
mm,
amazing how much you can tune in 15 minutes. And especially if you're doing it every day for a
right.
week or a month or a year or 6 years or 60 years. So that was always there. So that has always been a big part of my message. And then really what happened is my publisher had the idea. They said, would you write a book on overwhelm? Yeah. And I said, yes, because overwhelm is one of those things that seems like an outside problem, but it's actually an inside problem,
Right.
right? It's like time management. Time management is not about time, right? and and overwhelm is not about what's happening on the outside. And I can prove it to you because when we think about people who have jobs in which they are permanently overwhelmed, right? People who work in emergency rooms,
Right.
people who are first responders, people who work in animal rescue, um, you know, there's those people, if we look at those people at work every day, they are not overwhelmed. They're fine. They're calm. They're doing their job. They often have a great sense of humor, sometimes a kind of dark sense of humor, but a very good sense of humor, right? But they are
Right.
in what we think of as overwhelming circumstances all the time,
Yeah.
but they are not overwhelmed, right?
Mm,
So your life circumstances are not overwhelming you. You are overwhelming you. And the great news is you have the power to change that.
absolutely. Right. Yeah, I love it. Um, can we really get things done in 15 minutes?
Yeah. The short answer is yes.
Yes, yes, you can.
Yes, you can. That's the end of it. Do you have another question? No. Here's what I'll tell you. I sell a subscription. I have a thing called the Daily Practicum. And
Right.
for 15 minutes a day, every day, we get on the Zoom. It's at 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. Get on the Zoom, I turn it on, we wave, I set the timer for 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, it goes off. And people look up at me with this post-orgasmic glow on their face. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. I made that phone call I've been putting off for 6 weeks. I cleared this much of the paper of pile that's this big. I sat in the garden with the sun on my face. I played guitar. I sang a song. I tidied up this much of my closet. Like, it's incredible how much you can get done in 15 minutes and how good it feels. And again,
Yes.
you're going to do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And the cumulative effect is incredible.
But it sounds like also that accountability or just the community helps the people stay true to that 15 minutes of creativity in whatever way they spend it.
Definitely. Positive peer pressure is a beautiful thing.
I love it. So we're going to be heading into a short break, but I just want to summarize. As I understand it, your book, Sam, helps the reader figure out how they get in their own way in terms of creativity and productivity, and offers simple yet powerful ways to transform those powers to get out of their own way. Right?
That's a lot of it. We like to blame it on other people, but really it's mostly us keeping us from doing the things we want to do.
The whole book kind of reminds me of this Rumi quote I just heard recently. Stop playing small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion.
Mm, that's beautiful.
Oh, everything he says is beautiful.
True.
So you're listening to Dr. Diane and the Find Your Fabulous show. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Sam and I are going to continue exploring this beautiful book. Before we go, Sam, how can our listeners reach out to you, and how can they get their hands easily on your new book?
The book is available anywhere you would buy books. It's available in all formats, Kindle and Audible. I did the audio recording myself, so you can hear me do it. And it's, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all the places. And you can find me at therealsambennett.com.
Terrific. And for all things fabulous, including my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Find Your Fabulous with Dr. Diane. My guest today is Samantha Bennett, and we are exploring her brand new book, The 15-Minute Method, The Surprisingly Simple Art of Getting It Done. So we started talking already about these 15 minutes, but what exactly are we supposed to be doing in the 15 minutes? Can you share some examples of the things you do or some of your clients do?
Absolutely. So the main thing I want, this is my dream, Diane, is for, I don't know, 1 million people to be spending 15 minutes a day, every single day, on something that matters to them. So whatever it is that matters to you, because here's the thing, right? Here's what I noticed. We get everything done all day for everybody else, and the thing that you know would really make a difference to you, to your life, to your heart, to your body, to your family, to your own self, doesn't even make it onto the list.
Right.
It stays stuck in a drawer somewhere. So I want to flip that. I want you to spend 15 minutes a day on something that matters to you first, before you check your email. Before you check your email, spend 15 minutes on something that matters to you. And like I said, and it could be anything. And maybe you don't even know. Maybe you're so separate from your own desires, you don't even know what that would be. Great, all the better. Make a list of things you think you might like to try. Spend 15 minutes doodling or writing or dancing around your kitchen or stretching or like playing an instrument or tying flies or examining lizards. I don't know, whatever you're into, right? And the beautiful thing about this, and you can do something different every day, even if you want. But here's what happens is when you spend 15 minutes a day connecting with something that matters to you, your light goes on, right? And I know I can hear it. Somebody out there is thinking, well, that would be selfish. I can't take that kind of time for myself. My kids need me. My job needs me. No, they don't. No, they don't. Not for 15 minutes, they don't. They can deal without you for 15 minutes, right? And here's what's really selfish is you walking around exhausted, stressed out, and with no sense of humor, and the rest of us have to deal with you like that. That is selfish. That is an imposition, right?
Right.
You showing up calm, connected to your own spark, with a light in your eyes, you're less reactive, you're a better listener. Like, we love this version of you. Please be this version. And there's this wonderful sort of spillover effect. Even though it's only 15 minutes, somehow it puts a little bounce in your step for the rest of the day. It's a little bit like when you make it to the gym in the morning and you sort of spend all day being like, that's right, I'm awesome. Hair toss, hair toss. Thank you very much. Right? There's a little bit of smugness, like really positive smugness and self-love, self-satisfaction that comes. And again, this cumulative effect of doing it every day. Because we build respect and esteem with other people by keeping our promises to them. We build self-respect and self-esteem by keeping our promises to ourselves.
I love that. Yeah.
Right? And so for you to take just a little snippet of time, just for you. And like I said, I don't care if it matters to anybody else. I don't care if anybody else ever even knows about it. But I want you to keep your light switch on.
Yeah, I love it. I teach all my clients that you can give yourself 5 minutes a day to breathe and ground. You really can. You can fit it in the morning. It will make a world of difference, and it does for them. You just have to create space and time for us because nobody else is going to do it.
Well, and this is one of the advantages of the daily practicum is it ends up on your calendar. And as you say, there's some group accountability, and that can be really great for a lot of people. You were asking me what I did. My practice for years, I do my 15 minutes before I'm even fully awake. The minute I wake up, yeah, I'm not even off the mattress yet. I wake up and I reach for my little journal and I will spend, about 15 minutes. Either I write a letter to God or God writes a letter to me, depending on who needs to say what to whom. And you're right, that just that time of breathing, my little prayer meditation practice, my little writing, journaling practice, when I do it, my whole day is illuminated. And when I don't do it, things go off the rails so fast. It's amazing.
Yeah, right. I get that with my meditation practice. If I don't have time,
Right.
then the rest of the day is a little bit more Yankee than usual.
That's right. So I find that the busier I get and the more stressful my life is, the more important it is that I take that time.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how this 15-minute strategy helps folks with ADHD, what you call neurospicy. I want you to explain that one to us. The gifted and other highly creative people. How does it help them?
Yeah, like I said, the thing I notice with highly creative people, and I say neurospicy because we're learning more and more and more about the brain, and we still know almost nothing really. But there's this incredible spectrum of how brains work, and we're learning, oh, they don't all work the same way, and there's not really a better or worse to it. All brains are good brains. The and so what, what used to be called Asperger's is now just part of a spectrum, and what used to be called and what is called autism is part of a spectrum. ADHD, ADD, part of a spectrum, and it shows up differently in different people. So
Right.
I like the phrase neurospicy because it just sort of covers all the
All the parameters.
all the parameters. And I was surprised to learn that yes, giftedness actually falls into these spectrums as well, right?
Huh?
So for and what this really means to me, any of those categorizations means the world is not built exactly for you.
Mm.
The way in which you operate in the world, the things that support you, the things that make you feel good are not the same as the things that support maybe the rest of the world. Things that other people find fun, you find not fun. Like people think theme parks are fun. I think theme parks are a nightmare. People think parties are fun. I think parties are a nightmare. Talk about my 50th birthday present to myself was that I never had to go to another party. I will come to your book signing. I will have coffee with you. There's all kinds of things I'm willing to do, but if you say, hey, we're having people over for a party, no,
Thanks.
no, thank you. No, thank you. And if I do come, you can know that I'm doing you a big favor. I don't want to. Right. So, but I don't even know how old I was before I finally figured out, like, for me, walking into a quote unquote party is like walking into this big emotional spider web. Like, I feel like I can hear everyone thinking. I feel like there's a lot of agendas going on. I don't think I'm saying the right things. I feel self-conscious. I feel hyper-conscious of everyone else's consciousness. It's exhausting for me, right?
Yeah, just overstimulating, huh?
It's completely overstimulating, and ultimately makes me shut down, right? I just want to go hide. So this is not going to bring out the best in me, right? You are not going to meet the best version of Sam Bennett if you invite me to a party. So so this is partly can be what the 15 minutes is about too, is finding out what ways really work for you. And for a lot of us, again, who have hyper-connected brains that work in a slightly different way, the time restriction of the 15 minutes gets us out of pondering, out of overthinking, and just into action, because that's where the juice is. That's where everything happens. And the steady progress is also really fulfilling, right? Lots of people say they want to write a book. If you sit down for 15 minutes a day, you can write about 250 words if you don't edit yourself too much. And if you do that every day for 400 days, that's 50,000 words. That's a book. So in a little over a year, you could have a book.
There you go.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, we just make it hard in our minds.
Well, and we get very afraid of judgment and visibility, right?
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary on Martha Stewart just last night, and I was shocked at the nonstop language of criticism leveled at her from a documentary that is in theory on her side, that is interested in her and likes her.
Wow.
Everything everybody had to say. Well, she's just good at everything. Well, she likes to be in control. Well, she wants to control everything. Well, she's a big brand. Well, she's very intimidating. She's got it all together. It's like, why does this all have the tone of being a bad thing? Right? And then sure enough, we've got a story in this culture that says the blonde must burn. Oh, you can be a multimedia brand, but we're gonna take you down. And it's no wonder that women shy away from visibility if this is the way women are treated when they're made visible.
Right. Absolutely. I'm
So
right there
step
with you.
one, become visible to yourself. Spend 15 minutes a day becoming visible to yourself.
I love that. Yeah.
Be famous to you.
I'm
sorry you can't disturb Dr. Garrison right now. She's very busy being herself. I'm sorry, she's got 15 minutes. She can't be disturbed.
Absolutely. So we are going to head into another short break. I'm Dr. Diane, and you're listening to the Find Your Fabulous show. And when we come back, Sam and I are going to continue unpacking this beautiful book, But before we go to break, Sam, how can our listeners reach out and find you, and how can they get their hands on that lovely book?
You can find me at the Real Sam.
The lovely books, didn't you?
I don't have it. I don't have a copy,
Can't find it.
but it is
Oh,
in
oh
bookstores.
darn! It's
It
a
is
really
shipping.
pretty blue turquoise cover.
It is shipping right now. You can get it from Amazon. Might be able to find it in your local bookstore. Barnes and Noble is carrying it, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And you can find me at therealsambennett.com, and I'm the Real Sam Bennett on all the socials.
All right. And to learn more about my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website, fullpowerwomen.com. And if you missed any information on this show or want to catch some of the old replays, you can access that on my website as well. And if you have questions or want to chat, just reach out at Dr. Diane at fullpowerwomen.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Dr. Diane, and I have with me my very special guest, Samantha Bennett, and we're exploring her brand new book, The 15-Minute Method, the surprisingly simple art of getting it done. Sam, in my last podcast, I was exploring all these different building blocks of self-love and how we need to learn this because as mature women, because of 5,000 years of patriarchal brainwashing, we seem to think that our reason for living is to take care of others, and focusing on ourselves is selfish. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and how the 15-minute method might be the cure for I don't have time for me selfishness, and to help women or men for that matter really start tuning into their own creative desires.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get hung up on waiting for a perfect moment. I mean, this idea of like, well, I would write a book, but I need 3 months in Provence, or I would clean out the garage, but I need 2 free weekends in a row. Well, I hope those things happen for you, but in my experience, it's not happening. Provence is not happening today. 2 weekends in a row is not happening. And if it did happen, you're not going to want to spend it cleaning the garage anyway, right? So, and we think, well, when I feel smarter, well, when the kids are out of school, well, when this happens or when that happens, right? We keep delaying our own desires. So if we shrink it down to the 15 minutes, we can get started today, right?
Mm.
You cannot lose 50 pounds today. You cannot write a book today, but you can spend 15 minutes moving the body that you have. You can spend 15 minutes, like I said, writing a page, an index card, a couple of words. You can go to the garage and look at it for 15 minutes. Just take a cup of tea, go in there and scope it out. What's actually happening there? And maybe the next day you could open one of the boxes and see what's inside. Oh, a field hockey uniform from 7th grade. Okay, that could probably go. Like, we can start making this incremental progress because that's how everything happens. Everything happens incrementally. Everything happens a minute at a time. Quit putting off your good, your glory, your fabulousness, right? And start today.
I love that. You talked, no, there was a whole chapter in there about, that busy is a narcotic. Let's explore what you mean by that and how our society is like suffering from this disease.
Oh my God, there's this international game of I'm so busy poker going on that has got to stop. Right? I mean, you hear it everywhere. How are you? Oh my God, I'm so busy. Really? Oh, I'm so busy. No, I am so busy. Like, forget it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop saying you're busy. No one cares. You do not get extra points for busy. We're all busy. But again, we also all have the same 24 hours a day. So start saying, how are you? Full. How are you? Enriched. How are you? Exploring. How are you? Like, answer with something better than busy. Be better than busy. And I
Mhm.
will say, busy for sure was my favorite narcotic. Okay, second favorite narcotic for years. For years. Because if I was busy enough, then the only feeling I would have is tired.
Right.
It was a way to avoid the things in my life that were making me unhappy. It was a way to avoid thinking about things in my past. It was a way to avoid a lot of stuff. But like most narcotics, it's eventually it starts to wear thin, right?
Hmm.
And so instead, why not trade a little bit of busy for a little bit of satisfaction, for a little bit of fulfilling your own desires, for a
Yeah.
little bit of just experimenting? I don't know if I want to do watercolors or not, but I could spend 15 minutes experimenting,
Right.
right?
Hmm. Yeah, we have so many ways to avoid our own feelings and our own
Don't we?
traumas.
And if only ignoring them worked, like that would be so great. But
Yeah.
I heard someone say, and I really wish I could remember who it was because it's such a good line about, the thing with feelings that you try to, lock them down, in the basement. Yeah, they stay down there and they lift weights.
Right. Or my
So,
line, you either deal with your feelings or your feelings deal with you.
that's right. That's right. And one of the suggestions I make in the book that is really fun, and Diane, you've done this with me plenty of times, is to make a little 90-second doodle.
Doodles,
Right.
yeah.
So if you're having a lot of feelings about something, or you're mad at someone, or you're mad at yourself, or something feels really fraught and complicated, you're terrified by your finances, or I don't know, something horrible seems like it's happening, grab a piece of scrap paper and a pen and just doodle the feeling. This is not about making art. No one's ever going to see this. Just stick figures and shapes is fine, but just get that feeling onto paper so you can look at it.
Mhm.
And I am amazed at what comes out of people and how liberating it is. Saying like, wow, I was thinking about how, okay, I had a woman who was reading one of my books. I make this doodle suggestion in all my books, and she read it and she did the thing that we all do, go like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I should totally do that sometime. Right? Never gonna happen. But that night she had had a terrible, terrible day at work. And she
Mm.
thought, oh, I'm having a lot of feelings. I should make one of these doodles. So she just doodled herself, a little stick figure standing in the middle, and then everyone from work in a circle around her throwing rocks at her.
Wow.
Wow. So this alone, I mean, it's one thing to come home and say, honey, I had a terrible day at work. It's another thing to come home and go, I feel like they're throwing rocks at me. Right. And I think we can also make a guess about the career trajectory of someone who goes to work every day feeling like they're throwing rocks at you. Like that's not going to end well.
No.
Right? So she's looking at this doodle and she's realizing like how attacked she feels, how alone she feels, how all these things. And then she's inspired to draw a circle around herself, and she says that circle is the love of God.
Oh.
And she's able to go into work the next day feeling protected by
Hmm.
love. And she's willing to treat other people with love. And I think the career trajectory of someone who is protected and motivated by love is going to turn out to be a much better story, right? So, this is what I urge you to do. If you're having a lot of feelings about somebody else or about yourself or about a circumstance that feels out of your control, go ahead and make a doodle about it. And then maybe make a second one of how you would like it to feel.
Mm.
How would you like it to feel at work? How would you like your finances to feel? How would you like visibility to feel? How would you like fabulousness to feel? And you can start to get some clues for yourself about what really, lights you up and motivates you. We're not here for very long, guys. Like,
Nope.
do the cool stuff today.
Absolutely. So you say that our desire to do well can be holding us back from these kind of creative efforts. How so?
Well, this perfectionism thing, perhaps you've heard of
Oh,
this. Yeah,
I-
you wouldn't know anything about it, I know. But we read a lot, right? So the other people I see seem to have this problem. Uh, and the thing with perfectionism, maybe this is, I feel like there's a little martyrdom in there, and there's a little preening almost, right? Because perfect seems like such a good thing to be. Like, oh yes, I would like to be perfect, and I would try, but it's just my damned high standards. I'm such a perfectionist. Now, look, if I thought perfectionism actually worked, like if you could slave over every tiny detail and then have it come out perfect, I'd be all in favor of it. I would say, yes, absolutely do that. But my experience is not that. My experience is you slave over every tiny detail and it's what it is, you know? And some people may find it perfect, other people may not care for it at all, right? And worst of all, you're so busy thinking about how to make it perfect in your mind that you never do anything.
Right. Never try it in the first place.
Right. We call that constipation. That is not a
Creative
pleasant.
constipation.
You've got creative constipation. This is not a good feeling. It's not healthy for your body or your mind.
No.
Much better to take a stab at it, right? Try it for 15 minutes. Don't think about doing it well. Don't think about doing it good or a good job or something anybody else is going to approve of or even ever see, right?
Right.
Commit to writing some crappy poetry. Commit to making an ugly drawing. Commit to dancing poorly, you know?
Mhm.
And see what happens. And I think we have all had the experience of sharing something that we're like, this isn't very good. And everybody else flips out and loves it, right?
Absolutely.
So stop constipating yourself. Stop choking on your own idea of perfect. And just get in the flow of your own life, right? Find your fabulous that way.
Absolutely. I just bought myself a t-shirt as a reminder that says perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. And you want to say, when I think of perfect like an egg, or
Mm,
perfect like a leaf, or perfect like a baby. All the babies are perfect,
yes.
right? And you are that baby grown up. You are also perfect in that you are yourself. And there is only one of you.
One of a kind. All right, Sam, we're going to head into another short break. You're listening to Dr. Diane and the Find Your Fabulous show. When we come back, Sam and I are going to continue to explore a book. But Sam, before we break, once more, remind our listeners how to get a hold of you and your book.
You can find me at therealsambennett.com, and the book, The 15-Minute Method, is available anywhere you like to buy books.
Perfect. And for all things fabulous, including my coaching services and free resources, check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. We'll be right back. We are back on the Find Your Fabulous show, and I am here with my very special guest, Samantha Bennett, and we are exploring her brand new book. Comes out, launches tomorrow, The 15-Minute Method, the surprisingly simple art of getting it done. So you have so many wonderful phrases in this book. I was laughing so much. Let's talk about grumpy magic. Explain what you mean by that and how we deal with grumpy magic.
I just, sometimes in this wonderful world of personal development, I find there is a certain amount of oppressive positivity. And I notice that pessimists often get rich, that grumpy people have happy marriages,
Mm,
that, sourpusses get love too. Like, you don't need to beam love and light 100% of the time in order to have a totally magical life, right? And sometimes I find that grumpiness and frustration actually really can lead. There's a thing like the frustration transformation when you're just like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to do this thing. Like, I'm tired of thinking about this. I'm tired of waiting for it to be perfect. Forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and do this thing. Right. When you get so sick of your own stuff, right, that you just take action. You're like, let's do this thing. So yeah, I want to remind you that you are perfectly capable of creating all kinds of magical results, even if you're not in a good mood.
Even if you're grumpy as all hell.
Even if you're grumpy as all hell, even if you're permanently grumpy.
All right. I want to ask you about another phrase, if you could break this down for us, the alchemy of effort. And how does it work in this creative process?
This is one of my favorite things. All right. So we were talking before about how destructive it can be to just keep an idea in your head and never move forward on it, and how constipating that feels and is.
Right.
Right. But when you actually do something, let's say I've got an idea for a drawing that I want to do. Now, I'm not a visual artist, so I don't know, but let's say I am. Let's say I do that. So I have this idea in my head for a drawing, and then I put it on paper. Well, now it's changed, right? It's moved from thought to form. Now I've made it into a thing. And that changes me. I'm a little different now because I have taken a thought and I've put it into form. But now I show this to you. And it's changed when you look at it because you're going to see something different than I see when I look at it. And maybe you even tell me, you say, Sam, I see this, or this makes me feel this way. And now I am changed again. And so we end up with this loop, this sort of Moebius strip, or an infinity symbol, really, right? Of there's the thing, and then the thing touches other people and they are changed, and then you are changed because they are changed, and then the work is changed again and you are changed and they are changed. And it's this beautiful energetic exchange, and it's alchemical. It makes things more golden. It makes things better than they are. It's one of the reasons why we love having group experiences, why we love being in the theater or church or movies together, because we get to all have this experience at the same time where we are changed, where we're all laughing at the same joke or crying at the same scene. And that's incredible. That sharing of the human experience is, I think, part of what we're here for. It's part of what humans are really great at. And but if you keep your ideas locked inside your head, it's never going to happen.
Right. So just taking some action creates momentum and magical energy exchange.
And feelings are contagious. We see this, this gets proven over and over and over again in behavioral studies. If you sit in a waiting room and start to smile at people, they will start to smile back, and the whole mood of the place will lift. It's almost impossible for us to not smile back at someone who's smiling sincerely at us. Fake smile we could ignore, but real smile, we can't ignore that. We smile back. On the other hand, if you sit in a waiting room and start looking at your watch and tapping your foot and acting impatient and grumpy, everyone else will start acting impatient and grumpy as well. So you with your 15 minutes can change the world. You with a smile, you with a kind word to the grocery clerk, you are making an enormous difference in this universe.
It's the quantum field.
Quantum field.
Hmm.
In as much as I know anything about the quantum field, which I really don't. Maybe I'll spend 15 minutes looking it up tomorrow.
There you go.
The other thing I want to say, Diane, about this, because I don't know, it's sort of on my heart to say it, maybe someone needs to hear it, is this book it is its own example, because I've had long haul COVID for the last 2.5 years. So there have been plenty of days where 15 minutes was all I could do. And this book was written in many ways in 15-minute increments and edited in 15-minute increments. So I'm sort of, I'm eating my own porridge here, and I'm kind of my own advertisement. And for any of you out there living with chronic illnesses, particularly invisible chronic illnesses, first of all, I salute you. And second of all, don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do.
Beautiful. Yeah. So we can do anything we want to do if we give ourselves a 15-minute time slot a day and permission to go for it.
You can certainly start. And there are certainly people out there who've come back to me and said, I really gave that 15-minute thing a try and it just didn't work for me. I'm like, fantastic. But now you know what does work for you. I found that I really needed 3 hours. Great. Now 3 hours. I really found that I needed a full Saturday. Great. So block out Saturdays. Like do what works for you. I recommend 15 minutes. I recommend doing it in the morning because, by the afternoon, I don't know, the day just gets away from you. But use it as an, be your own experiment, be your own inventor, see what works for you. Some people like to set a timer. Some people don't. Some people like to do it in a group. Some people don't. It just depends. But even if you just spend 15 minutes in the garden feeling the sun on your face, take a minute for yourself, would you?
You heard it. That's an order. Let's spend some time with the concept of micro blessings. What do you mean by this, and how can it help us?
I call it micro blessings because I was reading about microaggressions, which are so interesting. Like, I find that a really interesting topic of ways that we can hurt or slight each other without noticing that we're doing it.
Right.
And how much they can wear a person down, right? So I thought, well, what's the antidote to that? And I thought, well, what are the micro blessings? What are the little things that, again, we may not even notice, but somehow make the world better, make us feel better? And I know gratitude lists are kind of a thing, but I find it's pretty quick for those to get kind of generic. Like, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health. Like, of course, you're grateful for those things. That's wonderful. But the more specific you can be, I think the more meaningful it is. So this feeling of like, oh, I'm really loving the warmth of the tea as it comes through this mug to my hands right now. Like, that feels really lovely to me right now. That's a micro blessing. Oh, look, there's a robin on the branch of the tree out there. That feels like a micro blessing. So it's anything that you can just notice in your everyday life that may not seem particularly special or notable to anybody else. But, look, there's a little kid walking down the sidewalk and they just kicked a rock. I used to kick rocks like that all the time. And I used to promise myself that, like, if I just kicked it one more time, a genie would pop out of the rock and I could have 3 wishes. Right? So it's just rather than, again, we all want the 3 months in Provence. We all want to win the lottery. We all want all these big, crazy things. But the life we have is pretty great too. And so to notice, wow, look at all the things this iPhone can do. That's amazing. It's like magic. You had told me 40 years ago that such a thing would exist. I'd say that's Star Trek stuff. What? That we could be on a video call from Wisconsin to Connecticut and sharing this radio show with all these people online. Who knew that was even a thing? So micro blessings are just about appreciating the little teeny tiny things that bring us delight.
Absolutely. And I've noticed in my own spiritual growth and practice, once I started doing these things, noticing the everyday little blessings, that it just has made, then I notice more and more and more. Now I notice all the birds, all the little creatures that come and inhabit my world, all the beautiful flowers, rainbows, whatever it is. It's like the more you look, the more you find, the more you appreciate, the bigger your heart swells. And it's just this lovely, contagious kind of thing.
That's right. And it's all happening right now. You don't have to wait for it. You didn't deserve it. You don't have to earn it. It's just a blessing.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming down to the end of our show. Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming and imparting your humor and all your wisdom. And a reminder, the 15-minute method launches tomorrow, June 18th, and the Amazon page link will be right on the program description. Of course, as Sam already told us, you can find this in Barnes & Noble and all kinds of other cool places. Before we sign off, Sam, once more, remind our listeners how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, hop onto my email list at therealsambennett.com. That's how I do most of my communicating, honestly, is through email, and you'll get poems and recipes and all kinds of fun stuff. And then you can write me back and tell me about your 15 minutes, and we'll be pen pals and best friends. It'll be great.
And to learn more about my coaching services and free empowerment resources, just check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. And if you have questions or you want to have a chat, just email me at drdiane@fullpowerwomen.com. I want to thank my special guest, Samantha Bennett, for sharing such great information. And I want to thank each of you, dear listeners, for tuning in to the Find Your Fabulous show. I had a wonderful time. Please join me every first and third Monday of the month, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Central, and 11 a.m. Eastern. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you back next time on July 1st, where I will be taking you through self-care boot camp. Until next time, go and find your fabulous, because you deserve no less. Bye-bye now. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and you have been listening to Find Your Fabulous. It's time to ignite your full power. Tune in every first and third Monday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Transformation Talk Radio for information, inspiration, and revelation to ignite your personal power. Connect with other bold, courageous, and powerful women who are ready to stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. The world needs you, full power. To find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess, visit fullpowerwomen.com.